Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls, and lie and stretch the truth
You
and try
girls,
to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
no
that.
No disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all? What is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away.
Greetings, ladies and germs. A new episode of Wedlocked and Loaded. I am Daniel Laurent.
And I am Leah Nicole.
And we are back again. And we wanted to just kind of check in. You know, it's getting closer. Well, it is holiday season. So, first, we hope everyone is healthy and in good spirits. We know the holidays for people is usually a mixed bag, you know, whether it's finances, health, family members who are no longer here, and you know, memories that you have, and it maybe not so good memories. So we just wanted to send light to everyone as you're listening to our voices and kind of checking in with us. We just wanted to make sure that we checked in with you. Yeah. So with that being said, Leah is going to, it's not often that, you know, I allow her to drive the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I typically gotta, you know, keep those training wheels on and just make sure everything's kosher. But today, take like a wheel or two off and just kind of see how this goes. Might have to put them right back on, but let's just see how this goes. So without further ado, Leah is gonna give the first topic on the docket.
Well, it's pretty interesting. This topic came from a discussion that I somehow was a part of, but by product, right? By proximity, I should say. I was asked anyway. So the question is, if you can have sex with a superhero, who would it be?
What type of question is that?
So I'll tell you how this came about. I was standing next to someone who ran into an old friend, and like they just started talking and just like reminiscing, and you know, one of the friends was like, "Hey, do you remember one day, you know, we went to the movies back in whenever it was, right?" These are older ladies, wiser ladies. And, you know, I guess they went to see Superman when it first came out. And, you know, she's like, "Remember that question I asked you?" You know, and, you know, the friend was like, no, I don't. And so she's like, you know, "I just don't know why, but I can't forget. I remember asking you, you know, have you ever thought what it would be like if you were to have sex with Superman?" So so if you can have, or any, yeah. So if you can have relations with any superhero, who would it be?
I don't even know if I can answer that. Like, I mean, how do you?
They're not all males.
I know, but how do you answer that? Like Wonder Woman?
It could be Wonder Woman, Catwoman. Yeah, it could be.
I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, are we talking aside from the actresses, or just like the superhero that we know?
Just a superhero in general.
I don't know. I mean,
even if you're referring to someone who actually played the character.
I mean, Halle Berry is Catwoman.
Okay, so just say Catwoman. That's it.
That's a definite. Halle Berry.
Just no, that's not the question.
Oh.
You just can't even follow a simple direction. This is wild.
What about damn, what's her name? I could say Catwoman for now, but
Catwoman, period.
No, but what's the it was a character. I don't know if she was a superhero, but she was like a bad chick. I don't know.
All right, you're ruining it already, so never mind.
How am I ruining
because
it?
you're referring to people, and I'm saying
It's a
superheroes.
character.
Okay.
Colombiana. What about that? What about Colombiana?
Don't make me no mad. I don't know who the people is.
All right. Or Salt. Salt works too.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not a superhero.
So then, it's, again, you're ruining
All
it.
right, let's just do Cat. Let's just do Catwoman. Who would you say?
So
Robin?
Robin.
Yeah.
Robin Hood?
Robin.
Who?
Batman.
Batman and Robin? Sorry, I don't even know why I said Robin Hood. No. I'd go with Batman, but Hercules.
You've had time to think about this?
No, not really.
All right. I can see that it's been like a come on. Keep going. I can see that it's been like it's been a slow week for you, huh?
Whatever.
And I understand this was a full discussion happening in front of you.
It was. And the people's husband was there too. So that was like, it was.
He was an Oprah husband. He didn't say anything.
I wouldn't call him an Oprah husband. Don't be disrespectful.
He didn't say anything.
He walked away.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, they laughed about it.
You got to grab your woman by her shirt and be like, "Hey."
They laughed about it.
I'm right here. Don't disrespect me.
Whatever, please. People get disrespected every day, B. You know that.
Carry on, Leah.
You don't like it?
Move it along, please.
Oh, okay.
I have things to do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the real topic is let's pose the question of how do you refrain from becoming roommates with your partner, where everything is just like feeling like Groundhog's Day. You just come home, you do the basics, and by basics, it's just maybe a quick check-in. I love you, good night. Wake up in the morning, leave off for work, and just repeat, step and repeat. What are some of the things that help prevent that from happening, from the relationship just becoming mundane?
I think there's a mix of it's all intentionality. It's intentional planning of whether it's having a date night or doing games. There's the I think on a random Wednesday, hey, let's go grab something to eat. Acts of service of like, do you want a foot rub? There's a new movie that came out, a new comedy special. You want to watch that? I think just little stuff like that, I think helps. However, I think that it's speaking from a place of, when you're in it, it's hard to sometimes see outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're working and you get home at 7 and your partner gets home at maybe 8 and you're both exhausted and you probably grabbed something to eat before you even came home, was eating while you was driving, and you come home and jump in the shower and maybe one of you falls asleep and the other one still has a bunch of work to try to do to be ready for the next day. Mm-hmm. Like literally that night is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so then repeat for next day and the next day. And then now maybe there's something with the kids involved or a family member. So now we're on Sunday. And it just happens that way. It's actually very easy to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easier I don't know. I don't know if it's easier if there's no kids involved.
For it to happen, or for
Yeah, because I
it
think
not to happen.
for better or for worse, kids are sometimes the glue that can kind of bring you together and rope you in, even when you're not thinking about it. But if you're both adults and just kind of doing your thing, and someone's like you and they have a million friends that are pulling for them and you haven't seen them, so it's like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long, girl. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long either, girl. Oh my God, but what about, ah, man, I'm supposed to. And so now, little old me gets the gets the, what do you call it? Not the lion's share. I get the little rat tail or whatever you call it. Right? Is that what you call it? Fix your face, yo.
I'm just here listening to your lies and your cockamamie stories.
Anyway, what say you? What do you do? Because I don't see you like, hey babe, you wanna, hey, can I rub your kneecaps? Hey, can I?
I think that there's a lot of things that contribute to that roommate phase. Um, and as you stated earlier, like it is very easy to fall into that. Um, Specifically if you know you have if you're spreading yourself too thin. Um, but I guess the real question is how do you get out of that, or how do you avoid it, right? And I think one of the things that I would say is, I like the spontaneity. Um, but I think a lot of times when you are in that space, or even before you before you get to that space, there are a lot of things, a lot of signs that are missed. One, if your partner is, one might say, oh, I'm not receiving that intimacy. Or and the intimacy is not just sex, it's just not feeling connected to your spouse. And I think sometimes when you're craving that intimacy, the way that you express that to your mate can look very different, and it doesn't look or feel to them like you are looking for that touch or that conversation. And so I think it's important to pay attention to all the things that your partner is saying and how they say it. And if you're unclear about that, then have a conversation about it.
Hmm.
Like for example, right? Let's say you're watching one of your podcasts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I come in, may not be having such a great day or have had a great day, but I come in all bubbly, and like, hey babe, but whatever, right? And because you're in the middle of watching this thing and you feel like they're saying something extremely important, and instead of responding to me in the same tone, or even just, in a kind and welcoming manner, right? You just snap at me like, "Oh, be quiet. I'm watching this." Right? Like, what? And even though it doesn't seem like it is, that's like a form of rejection.
Is it?
Absolutely. And I'll say why I believe it is, right? One, you didn't welcome me. Like you didn't greet me in the same manner that I've greeted you. Two, it's automatically, if
the people don't got a smart mouth, it's automatically going to have a smart retort, or it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just make my way over here, give you your space. So much of that is what creates that divide, so to speak. And now y'all just roommates, y'all ain't really vibing.
But I feel, what about, and we talk about this a lot, like I like where is the grace for certain situations? I think so with that same situation, maybe you come home and you're happy and bubbly, and you just found, $20 on the street, and you went and whatever, and everything's great, and it's lollipops and like, licorice sticks.
Don't eat
and
those,
you
but
walk in the house, and I had the complete opposite, and maybe we didn't have a chance to talk,
so now you have a terrible day.
because I called you, got your voicemail. By the time you called me, I was in the middle of something, so we didn't get a chance to talk. I'm super annoyed. I just want to take a second to watch something that I'm going to get some enjoyment out of, to try to snap out of it. You come home, I'm still in my space, but I just want some enjoyment, some pleasure for that moment. And you walk in with your energy, which is great, but my energy is, Argh. And and this is a real thing where I want to try to snap out of it before you come home, and maybe I'm just not out of it yet. And so my response to you is greeting, as far as like, hey babe, or hey, but it's not super warm and fuzzy, but that doesn't mean that fuck you for the rest of the night. It's just, hey babe.
But I think,
so for you to then take that, or for a person to then take that as rejection. Now, once my podcast is over, or if I decide to turn it off right then and there, and now I come over, your energy's off because of my reception to you, and now we're just at a stalemate.
Absolutely.
And that sucks. That's not fair, and that's not giving grace, and that's not reasonable.
So here's where I will argue with you about that, right? Because you're saying that you are in a bad space, and you weren't able to talk to me prior to, and you want to have something that is going to provide you with some enjoyment, right? I feel like if your spouse is coming home and they are not coming home with negativity, they're coming home in great spirits, they're showing you that they are thrilled to see you and be in your presence, and then you greet them or you receive them in such a way that's off-putting, it just doesn't feel good. Now, the initial thing is going to be, hey babe, what's the matter? Right? It's not a oh, he's in a bad mood or she's in a bad mood, let me just go sat down over here somewhere. It's going to be like a check-in. And what you do on that check-in will determine how the interaction will proceed for the rest of the day or the evening. And now, when you are all set, now you just mess my mood up. So no, I'm not gonna rock with you like that until you at least acknowledge what it was that you did and why you did it. So the onus would be on said person who received their spouse in a messed up way.
The onus is on the spouse who received it, or the spouse
who received their spouse in a messed up way.
Oh. Well, I don't know. I think stuff like that is tough, and it happens more times than not.
I mean, it definitely happens, but I guess the question is how do you what are some of the things that you can try to do to avoid that pitfall?
I don't know. I don't think that that's a question to ask I think that
I'm saying, what do you think? Right? Like, it's not that your word
I think that's
is law.
I think that's it's we have the conversation. I don't. I think it's interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think if and I talk to you a lot about like foundational things, right? And I just want to, like, if you keep it simple, I like to just keep it simple, because then you start adding the other stuff, then it starts like changing dynamics and moving goalposts.
Mm-hmm. What was added?
But starting not.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You're adding it. You're doing it now.
I'm asking a question.
But like, I'm not done talking, so there's no reason
there was
to
a
ask
pause,
the question.
So I thought there was.
It really, I mean,
it's okay. Go ahead.
I swallowed spit.
It's good for you.
Like, I think that if the goal is to not argue and to not fight, that's what the goal is, period. Mm-hmm. Flat out. Now, how do you go about not fighting? When you know that both of you are going to do things that get on each other's nerves, things are going to be misinterpreted, all of those things. But what do you do to not fight? And if you keep that in the front of your head, how does your then reactions go after that? So for me to walk in a house, if I'm in a great mood, and it certainly happened because you're a human being and you're not always in a warm and fuzzy, and you don't always stop in the middle of what you, and so, I mean, even the other night, like I was fuming while you were on the phone for a couple of reasons. And I told you, I didn't necessarily say it about you, but part of me, I'm hoping that you're feeling my fuming and you'll wrap that call up so we can record the show. From my vantage point, you continue to talk. And from my vantage point, what you were talking about wasn't like important. That could have been tabled to another time. But for you and your vantage point, you felt the need to keep going in that conversation. Now, we didn't fight. I said what I said and we didn't record, right? And I definitely didn't say it warm and fuzzy. I had an attitude. But that was also in a combination with the other stuff I talked to you about. Because I felt like my time, like there's two different people at the same time that's just kind of saying, not fuck me, I don't want to be so dramatic, but like I'll get to it when I'm ready. So that's how I felt in the moment. And you're on the other end of that. But like there's grace of like, well, all right, it's not the end of the world, whatever. Right? I know that I didn't want to record, so I back out, and that's what's going to allow me to be okay. And I put on something I wanted to watch to snap out of it. But that's a level of grace. It's not me yelling at you and throwing a pillow at your face.
Oh, yeah.
But I was certainly bullshit of like, yo, what the fuck? Get off the phone now. I'm sitting right here. It's not as if I wasn't home. It's not as if I was downstairs.
Okay. So I think, well, I don't remember the conversation, whether or not it was of importance. I don't remember the conversation that you and I had. I remember some of it, I should say. And, I don't feel like I was on the phone long where it delayed us in starting the recording, right? Again, you were waiting for someone else so that you can have another conversation.
No. And the funny thing is that person felt the exact same way towards you. And I never said anything of the sort.
Well, I feel like when I was on the phone, the people wasn't available. Okay.
No. And so I don't want to delay us recording to wait for that person.
So I think communication is very, 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 very important. And I think that although we feel like we are great communicators, there are some laps in the communication. There's some gaps in the communication.
Sure. And there's assumptions.
And so, right. And
you assumed that I was going to wait, so you kept talking.
No,
But you
I
could have said,
assumed
"Hey,
that
do you want to
I
record?"
assumed that we were going to record after you did the other thing that you needed to do, right? And being that you knew that you didn't communicate to me whether or not that was going to happen. What I did notice was that you were watching the clock, saying that the people were supposed to be somewhere at a certain time so that the meeting can be had. And because that didn't happen, and because something happened earlier, your time was thrown off, and now your time continued to be thrown off. However, that wasn't all on me. And with my thought, my assumption, my understanding based off of what you were saying was it didn't make sense for us to start recording because the people would be calling you or, trying to have that meeting very soon. So it didn't make sense for me to get off the phone because we weren't going to start recording prior to you taking that meeting.
That's how you got it.
That's how I got it. And for me, like you definitely said, you said something in that same regards.
Well, I certainly was like annoyed.
Right, but not. You have a right to be annoyed, right? But I don't think that you were annoyed for the right reasons or towards the right person, namely me. Just because I was here, I sat here and took a phone call doesn't mean that I wasn't ready to record. Nothing, you know what I mean? Like nothing was set up. Like there was nothing. But anywho, back to something that you said, in terms of like grace. I think that grace should always be given. However, it should not be taken advantage of or always anticipated, because sometimes for certain things that grace runs out. Like you're not going to keep getting excused for said actions / behaviors. So no, I don't think that just because you're having a bad day that your tone should be reflective of the person who did not cause you that bad day, especially if they're trying to come in with love.
You don't think that's not a so your determining factor is a person who loves you and that loves you is coming in with a loving spirit, and so therefore the energy should not be directed anything other than that.
I think the same.
Is that because I'm gonna give an example, but is that your?
Hold on, I want you to hear me out before you give an example. Let me give you an example.
I just gave you one.
I didn't understand it.
So you change the subject and keep talking?
No. It's not. I'm not changing the subject. Do you want to repeat it?
Is your determining factor in that scenario that a person that loves you is coming in with loving energy, and so you should receive them as such, regardless of whatever's happening? You should receive them as such and give back the same kind of energy. Is that that's what your premise is?
Sure.
Because if that's what your premise is and that's what you're basing it by, then I guess that's what you stand on. But you're not taking into account that that's just not necessarily how life works. Why is there road rage?
All that sounds good. You're bringing road rage. That has nothing to do with the person that
somebody did something, and you're misdirecting
someone
your anger to somebody that has nothing to do with it. That happens.
Typically, in road rage, you are peed off by the person that did some obnoxious shit on the road that could have cost you your life.
Sometimes,
right?
Sometimes not.
That's mainly where the road rage comes from.
I don't know mainly, but sometimes.
Okay, we're not going to argue about that. What I'm saying is, and what I'm referring to is the same way when you go to work, they be like, leave that shit at the door.
It sounds good.
When you come home and all that stuff that was
It
bothering you
good,
on the
Leah.
outside,
we're not
you
robots.
leave that shit on the outside of the door, or you try your best to do so.
Absolutely. You try your best, and so there should be grace involved in trying your best.
But it doesn't give you the right.
It doesn't.
Or the privilege.
It is privilege.
To talk to or receive your person in such a way that feels like a fuck off.
I think that a person shouldn't be abusive. It's just.
So at what point does it become that?
Yeah, I think there's clear defining terms and layers of being abusive.
So
I just don't. I think. I don't know.
At what point does
I think
that
things that bother the things that if I was bothered, I don't wish. If I was bothered in the same way in which you were bothered by certain things, I can mirror and have you see it. But the things don't bother me in the same way, so you're never going to see.
And vice versa.
That's not true.
Some of the things that bother me do not bother you. It's very true. Well, it's vice versa. But what's your point?
I think the grace thing, and this comes up all the time.
Yeah.
And I just don't quite get. I don't quite get it, I guess. But I mean, I don't know.
Which part don't you quite get?
I just don't. I mean, there are times when you're sitting across from me and you're like, shit. Now I could say, hey, what's wrong, babe? Right? And I feel like it's happened recently where I don't say anything. And I purposely don't say anything because if it's something that you want to share or talk to me about, you will say something. The flip side of that is you will, for the most part, say, what's wrong, babe? I might be literally trying to process thoughts of whatever I'm talking about, and I don't want to share it because it may not make sense to you. And I don't want to get into a full thing about it because now if I say, fuck, Crystal, blah, blah, blah. Well, wait, who's Crystal? Like, oh, what are you talking about? Now I got to explain a whole diatribe. I'm not in the mood for that. I just wanted to say shit and I'm trying to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the grace comes in with like giving me a minute. Even the other day when I walked in a room and I like exhaled, that has nothing to do with you. I'm not like, oh, fuck, I'm in the room with this fucking bitch again. It was just, it was a sigh. I don't feel the need to explain a sigh.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, but the grace comes in of just like, give me a second. Let me do that. Because if I did that to you, then we would just go back and forth with seesaws. So I show grace in different ways. And it's not perfect. And I don't always show grace. I could have, last night on the phone. But I didn't spaz out and fucking throw something at you and put a hole in a wall.
So I don't think it's a matter of doing all of that, right? My only gripe is simply the fact that for me, I feel like it doesn't matter. Like you can have your feelings and you can be in your feelings. And if someone is asking you, someone that cares about you is asking you, what's the matter when you have an outwardly expressed emotion regarding whatever it is that you're feeling, understand that they're asking you out of love, right? And so to be like, nothing, damn. And I'm not saying that you did that or you do that, but when you're being responded to like that, simply because you care and you would want to try your best to help your partner out, feels like a fuck you. Don't be asking me no questions. Leave me alone. That's what that relates to.
And is that ever warranted? Or in your mind, you feel that's never warranted?
Doesn't matter if it's... What do you mean?
Is it warranted for a person to feel like, leave me alone for a moment?
Listen, if you need time to think or process or work through whatever, that's all good. My point is that if you feel like you're a great communicator, then communicate that better. And if you don't feel like you're a great communicator, then work on your communication and handle that better.
So I don't think that I say nothing, right? I don't think I'm past that part. I don't think I say nothing's wrong when something's wrong.
It's not a matter.
But I will say, like,
it's not a matter of you saying nothing. It's about how you say whatever it is that you say, or how you just how you respond to, just how you respond.
Yeah. I mean, we unfortunately, I think we're just gonna. We've talked about this in front of other people too, I think, and because I remember it came up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that you can, we have masks on all day, or we wear makeup all day. So the moment we walk in the house, it's like we take our mask off. You take your bra off. You take your heels off.
So wonderful too. But
and so,
that
like,
doesn't mean that
I don't need to now. Now you absolutely shouldn't treat your person nasty, but I do not have to greet you in the same way as when I'm picking up a phone to say, hi, thank you for calling Starbucks. Right? I'm not going to have that tone because that's off now. And I feel I'm allowed that the same way. And
sure.
I, and this conversation came up with whatever, and I forgot what it was. The person I feel like was saying the same thing I was saying. And I feel like their person was agreeing with you of like, no. And it's like, if that's the case, then we never turn off.
And I don't think it's about...
And again, like, you're not supposed to be abusive.
Turn off. It's not about a turn off, turn on.
But you want warm and fuzzy.
Absolutely. Doesn't everybody?
I mean, that's the thing.
Doesn't everybody? So
I don't want you to be nasty to me, Leah. But if you don't greet me in the same way as you greet your colleagues, I'm okay with that.
Listen, here's the thing. You used to say, right? Like it used to be good for saying, oh, you don't laugh like that with me. You don't smile
I still
like
say
that with me. Right. But my friends, they love me and I love them. They're not greeting me in those ways. Even when
they don't see you all the time.
Even when there is a disagreement between us.
Leah. It's 365 days that I'm seeing you.
No, we don't see each other 365 days because I don't always be here for you to see me.
That's a problem in itself.
So that's real talk.
We'll address that on another show.
That's real talk, though.
So
don't say that you see me all the time.
So let's say 190 days I see you.
Kiss my ass.
So 190 days.
And out of the 365, why should you be an asshole for 70 of those days?
I don't know about 70, but I'll say 35. I think 35 is decent for me to say.
It's really not, though.
Hey.
So let me tell you what happens, right? Right? Because I feel like...
You don't hold me.
Listen, let me tell you what happens, honey. Let me tell you what happens. Because what happens is this, right? And this is not specifically towards you. This is a general statement. Right? You men, and I'm watching. This is coming from a few different things, of conversations that I've been a part of, and just this reality show that I started watching. I feel like married men
Oh.
will complain about not getting the patty cake.
Shout out to Alex.
Okay? Not getting the patty cake, as often as they would like. And the reality is that you all talk yourself out the pussy. It's simply put.
Not true.
It's very true. And I don't mean by just saying hi. I mean by doing just what you feel like you have the authority to do, so to speak, because you don't have to keep your mask on. If we are conversing, or I see that my man has an issue and I want to try to fix that issue or help him try to figure it out, or even just console, but I'm being responded to in a way that makes me like, ugh, okay, well, fine, figure it out on your own. But it doesn't just make me feel that way emotionally, it makes me feel that way physically. Like, man, like I can't even get wet off this shit. Jesus. So no, I'm not gonna want to open up at, what I'm saying, when we laying in the bed. All of it carries over. And now you have a bigger problem.
It's a little bit of grace, yo.
You get too much grace.
That's not true.
Absolutely true. You get too much grace. So now you're asking for more.
Yeah.
So you get the grace and you get no patty cake. Which one is it?
Yeah, I think.
What's up?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just should be, I don't know. I completely disagree.
I know you
disagree.
do.
And I'm not disagreeing like how you disagree, because you're a contrarian. I'm not a contrarian, and I don't need to.
So let me show you how it works, right? Let me show you.
Be accurate.
I'm going to be so accurate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so accurate. So what happens is, let's say I do something that you don't care too much for, right? So now you're upset. You're not giving me the grace. You're working through your feelings, but you're working through your feelings. I'm feeling a little frisky. And I try to initiate something, but because you're working through your feelings, you're not interested. See how that works?
Yeah.
So there's no different than what I'm saying, except me saying something to you in terms of asking you what's the matter, what is it, how can I help you, blah, blah, blah. And you respond in a way that's not so kind, puts me now in the space. And the thing that upset you was not me, so I should not be responded to in that manner.
I don't see the equation in that.
I know you don't, because you don't want to, but that's cool.
Yeah, again,
it's cool, baby. Ooh.
I knew that. I knew that.
You know what? You know what?
We both say the same thing, but we both don't mean the same thing.
So tell me what you think I mean.
So I am not looking to constantly fight and disagree with you.
No one said you were.
No, but you'll say that you're not. But like every chance you get, you'll disagree and like, just have like a contrarian point of view. Every chance you get.
That's kind of crazy.
Whether we are talking about fucking pork and pepperoni or
aren't they the same?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
But like every chance you get, like it's just something. So for me, I think that it's a polar opposite difference of trying to initiate something and the person's not being interested or rejecting you and telling you to get off, versus
my point
you
is,
feeling rejected because a person didn't greet you warm and fuzzy.
My point, Daniel,
I think that's worlds apart.
Daniel,
and to take that as rejection,
it's not a matter of taking it as rejection.
You did say rejection earlier.
It's a matter of feeling like when this person is ready, do you open up, or are you still turned off from the earlier actions?
Yeah.
That's my point.
And we've talked through that. We've gone through therapy about it also. And it shouldn't always be it's not going to always be perfect, but like I certainly have caught myself a couple of times, because at the end of the day, if people are being honest with themselves, that's a stupid thing to do. A ton of couples do.
What is?
You're mad, and because you're mad, now I'm mad. That in itself, on paper, is stupid. So just because you
ain't getting any patty cake,
Leah,
don't mean you're
fuck
mad.
patty cake. Fuck patty cake.
I'm not talking. Mean that you're upset.
Stop it. I'm not. Stop. I'm not talking about patty cake.
Awesome.
I'm saying I'm mad about X, and now I convey something to you, and now you are mad about Y, and then I resolve whatever my X is, and now you are still mad about Y. That's dumb.
How did we get there? That's not. It's not what I said. It's not a matter of you being mad because I'm mad or vice versa.
Do I need to replay the thing again of what you just said?
Baby, you can do whatever you want. My point is that it's not about being mad. It's not about one person being mad and making the other person mad. All I'm simply saying is that everyone needs to be mindful, right?
Agreed.
Because it's not just in that moment, right? And although you will get some grace, it doesn't mean that when you are all calmed down and you have resolved whatever that issue is that everything is going to go back to being okay without having a conversation about why it was that you communicated in the way that you communicated in the first place. Or you responded to, said your spouse in a certain way. If you don't have a conversation about that and just think that, because you were left alone to figure it out, once you figure it out, everything is all peaches and cream. Baby, no, it's not. It's not peaches and cream. And then my correlation to that is just showing you how that will spill over when it comes to laying down for real.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you exhausted your docket, so we're supposed to go over a couple of things.
Anyway, so I think that go ahead.
No, that's it. We're you don't know how to cut and move. So now we're at the end of the road.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry. So anyway, do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have anything that you want to say?
Yeah, sure.
Don't bring up a new thing, Leah. I will cut you off.
Anything else? Hush up. So we started this off by asking, how to avoid the pitfalls of spouses becoming roommates. And we shared a few things and we kind of had a little therapy session with you guys. Thank you.
Ridiculous.
But I think, to wrap it up, one of the things that Daniel said was, to have some date nights, throw some spontaneity in there. And so I am going to give you 10 ways to get that spark back and hopefully get out of that roommate phase.
Don't do that, Leah. If you don't do them, then don't give it to the people. Because if these are not tried and true, then I don't want to lie to folks. So I'm telling you right now, if you start reading shit, I'm going to say capola.
I'm not going to do all 10.
Yeah.
right? I'm not claiming to have done all 10. However, it is 2 of us. So
You're reading it though.
I don't care. I can still state what the fuck it is.
I don't care. Mucho grande.
Sure. Plan frequent date nights, right? Doesn't mean that you have to go out and spend a ton of money. You can do a little picnic in the bedroom, you know what I'm saying? Like you can create that fun, that spark, that connection. You can reconnect at home. Try your best to laugh often at each other, at each other's jokes. Get some alone time without the kids. This is a good one. Give spontaneous gifts to let your spouse know you've been thinking about them.
Lube.
Try a new experience together. Talk about future goals. What the hell are you laughing at?
I was gonna say something, but then I
talk about future goals often, and when you're talking about them, you know, set aside some time so that you can actually plan those goals together and figure out how you can achieve them together. Hug more. Because non-sexual intimacy draws you closer together. That one should listen.
What?
Non-sexual intimacy brings you closer together.
Yeah, from both people.
No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, so what's your excuse? There's only one-sided hug.
Express your gratitude,
okay.
Even if you think they know how you feel. Tell them anyway.
Exactly.
So if you need to write a little note, a little love note, drop a little love note, send a little flirty text.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
do the things.
Check.
And then this is if you have the littles at home. Set earlier bedtimes for the children. The sooner they're tucked in, the sooner you can get tucked in. Okay.
I check a bunch of those.
You do?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know.
And you say that as if I don't, but that's cool.
There's a one-sided hugger.
That's cool. Cuddling and hugging are not the same. Okay.
No, they're not. But there's one
we
side.
Are done. Thank you so much.
I know.
And we're gonna wrap this up.
I know. Anyway, guys.
Come on, put some pep in it.
No, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll be back next week.
That's ridiculous.
What? What's wrong with you?
It was you.
What?
Go ahead, close out.
All right, guys. Same bat time, same bat channel. We will see you next week, Lord willing. Be safe, stay in the light, protect your peace. You know, if you need to
avoid those grace takers.
You know, if you need to buy a sleeve, buy a sleeve. If you need to go to your nearby rub and tug, do that. Protect your peace, guys.
Mm-hmm.
These women out here just, you know,
Baby,
snatching
you right now.
Snatching our peace away. And my goal is to be an advocate for my fellow men.
You
to make sure
laying down with them in a minute too.
Laying down with my fellow men?
Absolutely.
Why would you say that?
Because why are you sitting up here giving out bad advice?
Guys, I will talk to you at another time, and we will, you know,
see if they hug you on the other side.
What are we talking about, yo? What?
Go ahead, wrap up.
All right, guys. See y'all next week. You know what it is. We're locked and loaded. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Fucking do it, Leah.
Watch your motherfucking mouth. We're locked and loaded.
We're locked and loaded.
We're locked and loaded.